Morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 187 in the book of Genesis. We're in Genesis chapter 49. We're going to start today in verse 28. Today's about never breathing and never walking again, because that's what Jacob, who's Joseph's father, is going to do in this passage. He's going to die. So this is about Jacob's death and burial. So, verse 29, he commands them and says to them, I am being gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, to the east of Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephron the Hittite to possess as a burying place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife, that's his grandfather. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah, that's his father and mother, and his wife, Leah. In the field and the cave that is in it were bought from the Hittites. When Jacob finished commanding his sons, he drew up his feet into the bed and breathed his last and was gathered to his people. Kind of makes me think of the Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy, lands on the Wicked Witch of the West and their feet eventually draw up underneath the house. But Jacob is never going to walk again. He's never going to breathe again, at least on this planet. So he's gathered to his people. So it's a sobering word that there's a day when you won't leave your bed. So he dies as far as this planet goes. He breathes his last and is gathered. Now, theologically, just to be clear, you are never going to die. You have a soul that's going to live forever, just a matter of where. But Jacob is going to find a place for his body that's going to point to the Lord's covenant. So he's going to be gathered to his people. And it probably begs the question for us is, who would you like to be buried with? Or does it even matter? Who do you wish to be gathered to? Well, for Jacob, he goes back to his grandfather, Abraham and Sarah, and then his parents, Rebekah and Isaac, and his wife. So the kind of these greats that have gone before. So in addition to people that he wants to be gathered to, he also wants to be gathered to a place. Now, he is in Egypt, and the point here is that there's this preeminence and uniqueness of Israel in both the geography and in the history of the world. So Jacob is going to be the next person buried in Israel, because they're going to carry him up to Israel. But the rest of the nation, think about this, is going to have to wait almost 400 years before they are routinely buried up in Israel. So a short time from now, Joseph is going to be embalmed. Joseph is going to die. He's going to be embalmed, put in a coffin, and kind of like put on ice. And then Moses, hundreds of years later, carries him back up to Israel to be buried in Israel. So Jacob is saying, hey, don't bury me here, bury me up in Israel. He is saying that the ultimate future of Israel is not in Egypt. It's ultimately going to be up in Israel. And there's something very specific about the location on the planet for the people of this particular promise, and it's not ultimately in Egypt. So dead people typically don't relocate, so get it right the first time. So Abraham, way back in chapter 23, buys a plot of land and a cave in Hebron, and now that's west of the Dead Sea. It's slightly south of Jerusalem. If I asked you to, hey, put a dot in the middle of what you would call Israel today, you'd probably get real close to Hebron. So remember, 17 years prior to this, Jacob goes all in and brings his whole family, 70 people, down from Israel, down into Egypt. He brought every dollar, he brought every person of the nation with him to incubate there in Egypt during the famine. And curiously, now he instructs Joseph, at least as far as his body goes, is to go all out and bury him in another country. And now this is one of the very fascinating things about this, is when the days of weeping for him were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, Now if I have found favor in your eyes, please speak in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying about to die in my tomb that I hewed out for myself in the land of Canaan, there you shall bury me. Now, therefore, get this, let me please go up and bury my father. Then I will return. So Joseph has to ask permission to leave Egypt. Why is that? Well, remember, Joseph is a slave. He was a slave. He is a slave. He'll always be a slave. So he promises two things. I want to go up, and then I'm going to come back. I will return. And Pharaoh answers, go up, bury your father, as he made you swear. So Joseph went up to bury his father. So his life, Joseph's life, was not his own. It never was. His slavery never ended. So the nation is going to stay down in Egypt for about another 400 years, half of it in slavery, before God makes himself known by the Exodus. All right, so let's do some take-home points here. Number one, know that you're going to live forever, but your body's going to fail and your body will fall. There will be a breath that is last and a step that is last. So let's live here as if we're going to be gathered there. So what does that mean? Sober living. I don't mean with alcohol. I just mean knowing I'm going to be gathered. How shall I speak? Knowing I'm going to be gathered to my people. How should I pray? Knowing that I will breathe no more. How should I act now and serve now and love now and think and work? Knowing that I'm going to be gathered, what should I do with my finances? It's a call for the stewardship of all the resources, your minutes, your money, and your abilities before being gathered. So let's, all of us, be ready for the day of never walking and never breathing again. Thanks for listening.